QMM soared 600% after unveiling a $100 million crypto treasury plan. If we go and we look at the chart for QMM, this isn't the main stock we're talking about, but we can see that it ran 4,000% right around the time it announced a Bitcoin treasury. Now, if you scroll down and you actually look at it, they announced plans to establish a diversified cryptocurrency treasury strategy focused on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. A company doing basically the same thing, but in my opinion, at a better scale, is ticker symbol COSM. I recently brought it to your attention about a week ago. This is insane that this stock ran about 600%. And no, I'm not pulling up a random example. Here's another example of SMLR announcing even less than COSM, running 100% shortly after. And we recently talked about how COSM is announcing their $300 million buy-in basically into a cryptocurrency treasury. Now, this is very important because I missed something that was written inside of the article that was posted by COSM. If we scroll down and we take a look here, let me find it. In August of 2025, we secured a financing facility from a U.S. institutional investor in the maximum aggregate principal amount of $300 million. And if we actually take a look, speaking of that, Cosmos Health has a diverse institutional ownership structure with 25 institutional owners and shareholders, including BlackRock, Geode Capital Management, as well as others. But if we follow this paragraph, this is the very important thing that I missed last time. And just like the other one, of QMM, they announced Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana. So pay attention, 72.5% of net proceeds from the sale of each note will be directed toward building a digital treasury reserve, including Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Solana, as well as other digital assets. The balance will be allocated to working capital and to accelerating growth initiatives, both organic through acquisitions. So what does this mean? What does this mean? I'm confused. That means 72.5% of the 300 million, okay? So 200 million roughly, possibly a little bit more, possibly a little bit less, right? They've only purchased 1.8 million of Ethereum so far. The stock has ran from 50 cents to $1.04, still trading undervalued in my humble opinion, and they have so much more to unload into Ethereum, Solana, as well as Bitcoin. And I find this huge for every company that is announcing a treasury asset. But for the rest of the proceeds, this is going to be used for working capital and accelerating growth initiatives. Now, based on a technical, from a technical standpoint, we're on the logarithmic scale here. I see a price range of 245 to 341 over the next few weeks, and you can quote me on that. Again, I don't give financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but that is about a 140 to 233% gain, and we may go even higher depending on COSM's capability to execute properly and purchase these cryptocurrencies at the right time. But we know where everything is headed in the cryptocurrency market. They are also obviously doing other things in the brand. It is not just going to be, this treasury reserve that they're building that is bullish. They have, first, let's talk about their pharmaceutical distribution. If you want the quick breakdown, here it is right in front of you. Cosmos operates a vertically integrated healthcare network across 70 plus countries, focused on branded generics, nutraceuticals, and medical supplies. You go down the line, there is more positive on that. The company's also building domestic production capacity to reduce import costs and boost profitability. You can go down and read the rest of that. Cosmos is developing AI-driven logistics and smart packaging to optimize inventory and supply chain efficiency. The goal is to merge traditional pharma distribution with real-time data and predictive analytics, giving them a competitive edge and potentially higher throughput. So they have also hinted at early exploration of blockchain for tracking and authentication with pharma supply chains. Ultimately, the company is doing a lot, and it's only trading at $1, and it has a special spot on my channel or my heart because we've covered it so long ago. And it's finally resurfacing with some solid news and some solid trajectory. Moving on, speaking of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin dominance chart has been rising. It is now up to 59.72%. And what does this mean? Bitcoin is still currently falling. So we see the Bitcoin dominance chart rising, but Bitcoin is falling. Why is this so odd? Well, it shows that big money has cash on the sidelines, or they are not wanting to actually buy into the cryptocurrency market. If they were willing to buy into the cryptocurrency market as a whole, you would see Bitcoin dominance dropping. If they were specifically trying to enter into Bitcoin, you would see Bitcoin's price rising. But you are not seeing either of these things happening. So what are we seeing right here? We're seeing a possible warning of a cycle top on Ethereum, and you can see in the blue cycle. However, I do want to state something, and I'll state it right after the bear case, and you're seeing a possible cycle top right around on Bitcoin with diminishing returns. Now, you're also seeing an overbought market on the S&P 500, the SPY. Very overbought market historically, and you can see based on the trend lines that I have drawn out. You are also seeing gold take a nosedive today and the DXY start to climb higher. So is there anything that we can take that is technically bullish aside from recession fears with gold diving, because it usually ends up diving when we're already in a recession, or the dollar rising and more value being in the dollar instead of in stocks, contrary to quantitative tightening and the dollar losing value and your stocks gaining value in these risk on assets? All of that complicated stuff. Is there anything bullish behind what we are looking at? Well, the crypto top indicators, the bull peak indicators, none of them have technically hit. We've seen the altcoin season index kind of get overheated at one point. None of these actually hit too hard. What's very scary about this is money isn't really anywhere, right? But there is liquidity, but there's not liquidity. It's a very odd system that we are in. And this week, most importantly, we have big tech earnings. If you are not very strong in your 1 to 2 month thesis, this is going to be a very dangerous week to trade anything. And I want to just point that out right now. Now, as far as a bullish case scenario, Ethereum as well as Bitcoin, the cycle is technically different based on institutional adoption and ETFs that we have gotten, as well as Bitcoin obviously running through another halving, and we are coming up right around the time of a cycle top. Now, I have a possible latest cycle top on Bitcoin at November 3rd, so we do have a little bit of time left, as well as if I bring in the Bitcoin power lock corridor, we can see that this is one of the longest times Bitcoin has actually consolidated beneath the red zone. And every single cycle past that, we've rallied into the zone by several hundreds of percentage points, and Bitcoin has not done that yet. So in my opinion, we do still have room to rise. Ethereum, very similar. We are initially looking like a cycle top. You can take a look at the dates as well as the blue cycles I have drawn out. Every time we hit this part of the blue cycle, we are aiming for now a bear market. We're at a key level to hold, as well as Bitcoin, but everything is looking different. The institutional adoption is very different, especially in Ethereum, as well as we have government adoption. We have other countries really dipping their hands into this. We have Solana, which didn't hit all-time highs, which is very surprising this cycle around. Well, I guess it technically did, but barely. We have other altcoins like XRP, which actually did take off and was the winner this time around, at least for now. And ultimately, it looks like we should enter, theoretically, a parabolic state. Whenever the money that is sitting on the sidelines comes into these markets is when that should happen. When will that happen is another time we have to evaluate, but you need to be very careful the way you are trading right now. That is a bullish and bearish case scenario. I would technically want to see the Bitcoin dominance chart begin to fall as some sort of beginning or early signal, alongside with what the market does here. We're on the 4-hour time frame. This is a very key rejection zone for the SPY. If the SPY breaks back below 668, I'm going to be very cautious on remaining bullish. If the SPY breaks back above 674, aka the all-time highs, then I will be very cautious at remaining bearish on the market. Right now, we're in a neutral zone, in my opinion, after getting this little bounce right here. As far as GameStop, AMC, and small caps in general, Once that Bitcoin dominance slips, once there's catalyst, quantitative easing, and more money decides that it wants to flow into risk assets, that is when we should see short squeezes occur across the board. Alongside Ethereum, other altcoins, Solana, Link, GameStop, AMC, other small cap plays, that is when it should happen. Right now, at all of these lows is basically phase one of buy-ins, in my humble opinion. I don't give financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And if we entered a bear market, you'd have phase 2 and 3 of buy-ins, where you have chances to buy in and DCA. Right now, there's no telling if you're going to get phase 2 and 3, but there is telling right now that we are in a neutral phase 1 of buy range for altcoins across the board, as well as GameStop AMC. GameStop got this little blip today, clearly got rejected. Now, based on the chart, we have very, very similar patterns, nearly identical, and it points that GameStop is in the green phase, heading up towards 31.32 to 52, possibly reevaluating on its way higher. There's more to unpack on the Ryan Cohen interview. There's more to pack on the dilutive nature, or the trap that is set. If there is a trap set, there's more to unpack on all of that within GameStop. But I do want to state that AMC has its earnings next. HYMC has its earnings around that time frame. November is looking like a cycle top possibility for cryptocurrency. Right aligned with AMC earnings. AMC just partnered with Netflix. We still have very good signs that entering this cycle alongside some earnings is looking pretty good. This was about 54 days, and this is a different phase from the 43 days that I was talking about. This is including the peak instead of just the sell-off. And we can see that in these purple boxes, we have red, yellow, green zones. Red, yellow, green, same thing. Red, yellow, green. Same thing with AMC, exact same time frames. And you can pay very close attention to these cycles. If you grab the bars pattern from the cycle and you drop it on the next cycle, we can see that towards the end of the cycle is when these peak. Now, why is there a peak right here? The same thing goes for GameStop. Why was the peak higher back in May? Well, Roaring Kitty came back and algorithms broke, just like we saw back in 2021, going much higher than the cycle intended, okay? But you can see we still hit a high following that. And if you take this cycle as well, you can match that with the same period of a high. You can match that with the same period of a high right here. So what does that tell us? What does that tell us? That tells us both are very bullish. We even saw a little blip on AMC's chart if I zoom in right here. That tells us towards Friday, October 24th to, the Friday of October 31st, we should see a higher high on AMC, and we should see a higher high on GameStop. This is ultimately what I'm expecting, what I am anticipating. Both of these are looking very well. I know the wait period is very aggravating, to say the least, but we are not at the end of the phase yet. And you can see based on this cycle right here, you're still looking very late October for another peak. Now, what is going to happen? Is there going to be a catalyst? Is there going to be an algorithm break? Maybe, maybe not. What we do know is AMC can't vote on dilution until December, and they have earnings in November, so that might be good. Now, Charles Payne also dropped an X post today, and this is quoting somebody's tweet anyway to get Ryan Cohen or Adam Aaron on the show, maybe even highlight some recent moves by AMC and GameStop. If Diane Garrett could also join, you'd have some amazing content for your loyal crowd. He said working on this, might have a surprise for you today. That would be huge if he gets one of these interviews. And then he quoted another tweet, Charles, respect you. If you ever get 47 on the show, please schedule me as a guest with questions, namely how the hell does one stock can be traded in the dark pool at 60 to 80% and more daily for years. And then he replied, you got it. And this is huge as well. If he gets Adam Aaron on the show, he's going to get pretty pressured on some important, crucial questions. Beyond, I'm going to talk about it later, so tune in and have that notification bell hit. But Walmart joins the Beyond Meat squeeze. We'll talk about that later. Basically, Beyond Meat expanded into nationwide distribution, and they partnered with Walmart. we'll talk about beyond later in tonight's video, hopefully if I have time. So make sure to turn post notifications on, subscribe, and the top 2 links in the description of the video are going to take you to my Discord server where you can join, talk stocks and crypto with the best people, best vibes. We've been making money in there, killing it, as well as tons of AI trade alerts that if you were to pay for individually would cost you hundreds of a month. Discord will pay for itself very quickly. Go watch the videos I uploaded yesterday, both very important. One was covering the interview. One was covering some charts and some other news. I also have a second link in the description where you can get a free trial to my custom indicator. Try it for 7 days for free on your TradingView. I love you all, guys. God bless. Lottery stocks out.